Taylor Pavlovich here with the Memphis Music Bank to give you the national and local headlines of what's happening in the entertainment industry today. According to TheGuardian.com, Ennio Morricone, Oscar-winning Italian film composer, dies aged 91. Ennio Morricone, the Italian composer whose symphonic scores backed everything from spaghetti westerns to romance, horror, and sci-fi films, has died aged 91. Morricone has broken his femur days ago and died during the night in a clinic in Rome. His death was confirmed by his lawyer, Giorgio Assuma. In a statement, Assuma said that the composer died at dawn on July 6 in Rome with comfort and faith. He preserved until the final moment full lucidity and great dignity. Quote, he said goodbye to his beloved wife, Maria, who had accompanied him with dedication in every moment of his human and professional life, and was close to him until his final breath, and thanked his children and grandchildren for the love and care they have given him. He gave a touching remembrance to his audience, whose affectionate support always enabled him to draw strength for his creativity. Morricone wrote his own obituary, which was read out loud by Assuma. Quote, I, Ennio Morricone, am dead. Thus I announce it. To all my friends who have always been close to me, and also to those who are a little far away, whom I greet with great affection, it begins. He says it is impossible to name everyone, but mentions members of his family and close friends, closing with words for his wife. I renew to you the extraordinary love that has held us together, and I am sorry to abandon you. To you, the most painful farewell. Film composer Hans Zimmer was among those paying tribute, saying he was devastated. Ennio was an icon, and icons just don't go away. Icons are forever. His music was always outstanding and done with great emotional fortitude and great intellectual thought. Born in Rome 1928, Morricone took up the trumpet and wrote his first composition aged 6. He studied classical music and after graduating began writing scores for theater and radio. He was hired as an arranger by the label RCA in Italy and also began writing for pop artists. His songs became hits for Paul Anka, Francois Hardy, and Demis Roussos, and he later collaborated with Pet Shop Boys. He also made boundary-pushing avant-garde work with Grupo de Improvisaciones de Nueva Consonanza, a collective of experimental improvisational composers. But it was his film scores that brought him the most fame. He began in the mid-1950s as a ghostwriter on films credited to others, and orchestrated other composers' work for directors including Michelangelo Antonioni, Vittorio De Schia, and Dino Risi. He graduated to composing his own scores in his collaborations with Luciano Salisi, beginning with Il Federale, the Fascist, established his name. Morricone went on to work in almost all film genres, and some of his melodies are perhaps more famous than the films for which he wrote them. Jerry Kowalski's 1971 film Maddalena is little remembered today, but Morricone's two pieces for the film, Come Maddalena and Chai Mai, are among his most loved, the latter reaching number 2 in the UK Top 40 following its reuse in the BBC drama series The Life and the Times of David Lloyd George. His 1960s scores for Sergio Leone backing a moody Clint Eastwood in the Dollars trilogy were huge successes and came to define him. With their whistling melodies and blend of symphonic elements with gunshots and guitars, they evoke the entire Western genre. Quote, the music is indispensable because my films could practically be silent movies. The dialogue counts for relatively little, and so the music underlines actions and feelings more than the dialogue, Leone once said. Morricone has said that his best work was for Leone's 1984 film, Once Upon a Time in America. Those films and Morricone's scores were a clear influence on Quentin Tarantino, who hired him for his western The Hateful Eight. It earned Morricone his first Oscar outside of his Lifetime Achievement Award. Tarantino also used his music in Kill Bill, Inglourious Basterds, and Django Unchained, with Morricone writing an original song for the latter. Other films he scored included The Thing, Cinema Paradiso, The Battle of Algiers, Days of Heaven, The Untouchables, and the Cage au Foie trilogy. His frequently toured highlights from his catalog and was still conducting his orchestra in 2019. He sold more than 70 million albums, and as well as his 2 Academy Awards, he won 4 Grammy Awards and 6 BAFTAs. Antonio Banderas, who starred in the 1990 Pedro Almodovar film Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down that Morricone scored, said on Twitter, "With great sadness, we say goodbye to a big master of cinema. His music will keep playing in our memories." Soundtrack composer A.R. Rahman said, quote, "Only a composer like #Ennio Morricone could bring the beauty, culture, and the lingering romance of Italy to your senses in the pre-virtual reality and pre-internet era. All we can do is celebrate the master's work and learn." The British film director Edgar Wright also paid tribute, saying, "He could make an average movie into a must-see, a good movie into art, and a great movie into legend. He hasn't been off my stereo my entire life. What a legacy of work he leaves behind. R.I.P." The electronic music duo Orbital called him a great influence, one of the best film composers of all time. A video game designer, Hideo Kojima, who used the 1971 Morricone and John Baez song Here's to You in the Metal Gear Solid series, said he was shocked to hear of his death.